are part of the gig economy. I'm going to showcase how can gig economy provide opportunities for developing sustainable SMEs, especially in the agricultural sector in developing countries. And I'm going to share with you some cases from Indonesia as well. And at the end, I'm going to reflect on how can this topic be influential for your future career or for your future studies. So just to remind you, with last week, we talked about innovation, and we talked that innovation is not limited to just producing one product, but innovation can be in the process that we produce that product. It could be on the position, and it could be a paradigm. And paradigm means it's a new way of thinking, of buying and selling goods or services, new business models, new innovations, things that we usually and traditionally we haven't used before. So today I'm going to talk about the gig economy because this is a new paradigm. It shifted the understanding of how products and services are consumed and are exchanged between buyers and sellers. So it is one part and one big aspect of a paradigm innovation, this gig economy. So the question is, can digital business that are participating in the gig economy, and can enterprises that every one of us, every one of you can actually start easily, since digital businesses are something that doesn't need much capital as a traditional business, can this sort of business provide opportunities for sustainable development? Is it relevant to developing countries and emerging economies as well? Let's see that together and let's go through that journey together. If we start by understanding what is the digital entrepreneurship or what is a digital business, digital entrepreneurship is broadly defined as a business that creates new venture and transforming existing business by developing novel digital technologies or novel usage of such technologies. So any business that uses technology in the way it is operating is a digital business or a digital entrepreneurship. And these digital enterprises can play a significant and really crucial role in achieving the sustainability goals. We will go through that together. That's why I'm inviting every one of you to think broadly about these examples that we are going to cover, especially the ones that I'm covering at the end regarding the agriculture sector, and think how can we actually start a business. I remember last week there was a very interesting question from one of the participants. She was asking, how can we start a business without if we don't have money? Now I'm going to give you different examples of how can you start a business with and how can you raise funds, in fact, through this digital and through this huge economy that is growing every day. So digital businesses or digital entrepreneurship is known as a business. There is different examples of these business that are developing and applying digital technologies for social good. Lots of digital business nowadays, those specifically that are participating in the gig economy or sharing economy, we will go through that terminology now. They can help in alleviating poverty. They can help in improving health. They can help in improving education. They can help in improving human rights. They can help in improving environmental protection. We will see these. How can this participation really impact on all these kinds of aspects? So what's the digital economy, the sharing economy, the gig economy, the collaborative economy? They call it different sorts of economy. It started theoretically with a very interesting book that I would like every one of you to read. It's called What's Mine is Yours. And the authors of these books, of this book, was mentioned and featured in the Time magazine, which is a very famous magazine in the world. It says, this is one of the 10 ideas that will change the world. And indeed, it changed the world. It changed it disrupted economies, it disrupted industries. People changed the way that they are looking at each other's stuff. And what the idea is, Let's see what the author, Rachel Postman, said about this idea in one of her TED Talks. She asked, how many of you own a power drill? You know, the drill that you just use in the usual, like any handyman or any people like can use power drill. How many times do you use something like that? So almost everyone are using it one way or another in their houses. But that power drill, if you know the statistics, it will be used around 12 to 15 minutes in its entire life. So you buy something, you use it once or twice or very few times in your life, keep it in your storage area in your house, and then use it back only 1 or 2 or 3 times per life. But you own it and you have it and you consume it and you pay for it. But what actually do we need? Do we need the item itself, or do we need the whole? Do we need the usage of it? And that's the idea of what's mine is yours. The idea is, do we actually need to own things? Do we all need to own cars? Do we all need to own mowers to do the grounds and to do this? Do we do businesses in the agriculture sector needs to use and to own all the material, the heavy material that they are using? Maybe they use it sometimes seasonal. Maybe they use it sometimes only once or twice per year. Do they, every single farmer, every single factory, every single place and business, do they, or every even individual, do they need to own all that stuff that they have? Why don't we share these things between us? This idea changed the world, changed how things are. If you look at everyone's the houses everywhere, and if we looked at the economy, you will find that everyone in the room, they have something that they don't use often. They have something that they don't use on a regular basis. It could be a car, it could be a truck, it could be a mower, it could be a spare room even. It doesn't have to be physical product. It could be even something that we have, but we don't need it. So for example, it could be even something that we own, knowledge, experience that we have, and we maybe even time. We have an extra time to do some cleaning, to do some laundry for someone else, or to do any service for someone else. Maybe knowledge. That idea was based on that unutilized assets. We have loads and loads of things that we can share with other people. So why do we always consume? Why don't we share for one time? Stop consuming, reserve the environment, stop the waste, and share what we have already. So the sharing economy, the gig economy, the collaborative economy, whatever we call it, it simply invites us to use this sort of platform. The platform is a platform that allows buyers and sellers to be direct with each other. So you don't need to use middlemen in the middle. You just cut all the things, all the logistics in the middle, and take the product directly from the producer or from the seller or from the owner, the one that owns it, to the consumer. That is the sharing economy platform. It just cut everything in the middle that consumes, pollutes, and what we don't need, and asks people, give the power to people, individuals themselves. You just, instead of going to a store and buy a truck to move things from one place to another, you can just contact people in the area and ask, do you have a spare place or a spare truck that I can use that day? Do you have a spare boat that I can use for fishing for that day? Do you have any spare things that I need? Why do we need to buy it or own it? So the old traditional economy, the traditional businesses that used to have provide products and service, existing online services, use the product and services, give it to consumers. This is now changed to a different sort of economy where we don't have to go all that cycle. We don't need to go all that way in order to give that product from someone who has it to someone who needs it. It just moves the whole economy into something called the social economy. The economy is all owned by individuals. You can easily start a farm, start a business, start an agro business, and instead of buying all the capital that is needed in order to start this business, you can look and see what other people have and share it between yourselves. This will increase efficiency, will decrease pollution, and it save the environment, and it can help a lot in mainstreaming the whole process. From that perspective and from that business model, lots of platforms started or have been operated. I think you will be familiar with the most one, which is Uber. Do you have Uber in Indonesia? I guess you do.
Yes.
Yes, okay, excellent. So the most famous one, or the most famous sharing economy platforms, are the ones in the auto industry. It started, in fact, with the auto industry, where people realized, do we have actually to buy cars in order to go from one place to another? If someone is not using the car frequently, why don't you just call someone in the neighborhood and ask them to give you a ride? That was the idea. It started with that because it's easier and more efficient. Now it extended to different industries. For example, Airbnb, I think I mentioned that example before. Airbnb, it is about people who have spare houses or spare rooms, and they wanted people, instead of going to book in a hotel, why don't they come to their house and book the house from them? Maybe some people have an extra house, a summer house, or maybe even have a big house and they have a room in it. It could be anywhere in the world. It could be in Indonesia, it could be in the UK, it could be in Egypt, it could be in the US. And anyone who wants to travel anywhere in the world don't have to go to the hotels, spend that much money because of they are fancy, or because they do cleaning. Maybe some people are not interested in these things. Maybe some people are interested in just traveling and going to that place. For these individuals, going and staying and actually exploring, living in someone's house, or in someone's spare room, or in someone's extra house, would be might interesting for them. And Airbnb is a platform that allows people, just you go, for me I can just go now to Airbnb. I say I want to go to Indonesia, and then it shows me the houses available by individuals with reviews and everything, and of course everything is organized, and I can just book my holidays over there without going to these big chains of hotels that consume so much water, that consume so much energy, and are expensive for no reason. And this extended to different places, and I'm going to give you different examples. So Airbnb is one of the B&B is one of the famous. Uber is one of the famous also platforms. Even now, people in the work Sift, this here in the bottom, another also example of a platform that allows people that works from home to go and work in extra spaces, extra offices. So you don't actually need to buy an office. If someone has a specific business and there's only 3 people, a small business, a small enterprise. Some of you might want to start your own business after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But again, the same question, the very interesting question that one of you asked last week: why do we don't have capital? How can we start a business? So one of the problems would be, what are we going to do with the office? We need to buy an office. Actually, you don't need to buy an office, because there are places and there are platforms now that rent offices. So you can say, I'm going to use the office, me and my team, myself and my team, only 3 times per day, per week. So you, instead of renting an office for a whole month, you just go and use this place, empty space, for 1 time or 2 times or 3 times. And that's empty space could be also someone's house or someone's place or someone's another business that has an extra office, and tells you, you can just come, it's spare, it's empty, why don't we use it? So it's about the underutilized resources. One of the famous, also another interesting platform is Kiva. I'm going to talk about Kiva in detail, but even though if for people who want to start their own business and they need to get some finances, why do they have to go to the banks and start getting loans from the bank, and the banks refuse to give them loans because they don't have the paperwork and they don't have the history that is needed by banks, and so on. There is also crowdfunding, something called crowdfunding, where people can raise money from other people, other investors, through that platform. So it's directly from someone in Jakarta and someone in London, sharing with each other their ideas. Could be the person in Jakarta or person in London, they are interested, they like the idea that is introduced in that platform, and asks and offers investment for that person. So even individuals now can empower each other, can help each other to raise money and to get their business. So it's a very powerful economy. And if you can imagine how many platforms, how many industries are disrupted because of that kind of new innovation, new paradigm of people sharing each other's stuff instead of buying and keep consuming, that is extremely interesting. So what is a sharing economy platform or the gig economy platform? It is simply a peer-to-peer, individual-to-individual, person-to-person based activity of obtaining, giving, or sharing the access of goods and services, coordinated through this community-based online service. So it's about individuals obtaining and giving and sharing with each other any access resources they have or service. It doesn't have to be physical good. It could be an extra space, or it could be even knowledge, as I'm going to share with you. So it's a new economic model that uses commonly available technologies. So all what they are using is that they are actually using the same technology that we have, the cloud technology, the websites, the internet. So it's using the same technology that we have. You don't need to invent a new technology in order to start a business or in order to participate in the sharing economy. We have the technology already. We actually are using it. We have it on our hands. All the smartphones can allow us to download or to use an app and then share it with each other and then use it. The sharing economy or the gig economy, it gives people the benefits of ownership. So you're still owning something, but actually owning it for some time only, owning it temporarily, owning it only for limited amount of time. But so you still own it, but with reduce the person burden and cost and lower the environmental impact. So you don't have to buy something, keep it with you, pay all that amount, full price for it, keep it, and then someone else go and buy the same thing and use it only for few times. Imagine how many resources are wasted in that, how much money are spent with unnecessarily in that. So this is what the sharing economy or the gig economy is. And I'm going to show you the video later at the end. So what other examples of sharing economy platforms and what other examples? Because if you reflect on that, every one of us can think about something that they have that they can share with someone else. TaskRabbit is another example of sharing, but not for physical products, but sharing the tasks. So everyone has another kind of resource that we have is our time. And also is things that we know, skills that we have. So it was based on the idea of neighbors helping neighbors. So in the neighborhood, you will find people who have extra time. They can do ironing for someone else. They can do cleaning for someone else. They can actually do sewing for someone. They can do carpenting. They can do painting. They can teach a language. They can teach a computer skill. They can teach different things. So this TaskRabbit, so what the owner of or the founder of TaskRabbit thought, okay, why don't we allow and have a platform that allows people in the neighborhood, in the area, to share these things together, so with each other. So they created this online and mobile marketplace of freelance labor with local demand, allowing consumers to find immediate help with the everyday task. Someone needs to fix a car one day, someone needs something immediately, someone has their son or daughter, they have an exam and they wanted someone to tutor them in something, in math or on a language or in anything, and so on. And it includes different things. It includes cleaning, moving, delivery, handyman work, all these sorts of things and activities. So a very simple idea, but efficient idea as well. Meet neighbor. This is an example of actually a student like yourselves. Last year or 2 years ago exactly, he was one of my students, and he was very impressed with the idea of the sharing economy, and he thought the same thing. He was playing with his friends at home at one day, at one night, and then he wanted to play a game like a chess or Monopoly, and then they didn't have it. So they said, okay, I'm going to knock the door of my neighbor and ask if they have it. They knocked the door, and then the first person didn't have it, the second person, and then he found an old lady that has these old board games, chess, Monopoly, and different kinds of games that as friends they can sell, they can use. And he asked her to borrow this game for some time, and then the idea came to him. He said, why if everyone in these houses has something very old that are they are sparing on the side, why don't we think about an app that has allows people to put all the things, that the unnecessary things or the extra things that they have, and then do it together. A very simple idea. Just a student started it, and it is growing in Southampton area where I live, and it just kind of was very successful. It applies to everything. This idea applies to everything. So maybe later you can reflect, what do you have and what do you think people would love to share in your area, in your university, in your later on, or on your future businesses as well. Zupa is another platform that is like Kiva. It also allows people to borrow money from each other. So it's a peer-to-peer lending service where people meet to lend and borrow money. So lenders get great returns because you look at the idea, someone presents the idea with all the information that is needed, convince you that this is a great idea and you can invest on it. And you can invest at anything. You can lend, for example, 240 pounds, 10 pounds, 5 pounds, it doesn't matter. But for the person who are raising the money, it matters. Every pound or every dollar or everything, it matters. Because if 100 people invested in him, they can start their own business. They can start something. They can start anything that they wanted to start. So it allows lenders to get great returns. Borrowers get low cost loans because otherwise you go to the bank, and in the banks they can charge a lot of interest at that point. If anyone wants to start an own business, they will charge a lot, or they will give you like high interest rate because you don't have, again, the history, the guarantees that they wanted to see from you. And there is no banks in the middle. That's the beauty of it. It's just between individuals and other individuals. Of course, it is organized. Of course, it is controlled, because this is what the platform has to guarantee as well. So it is the lending platform. It works by bringing together individuals who have money to lend and individuals who wish to borrow the money. And so far, it lent over 1 billion pounds until today, since it started a few years ago. So the sharing economy or the gig economy is extending, and that opens up opportunities. How, if we think about sustainability of the economies, this allows small businesses, small entrepreneurs like yourselves, to start their own business without being obliged to go to banks and to be rejected, your application be rejected. So it actually empowers people who doesn't have that much money to start their own business. It opens opportunities for small businesses to start and to flourish and to really do something that they are motivated to do. And what enables that? Technology innovation, it enables us to do that because we have already the technology. It is there. We don't have any issues with finding the technology. It has reduced the transaction costs. That's why from the questions from last week, you know, we don't want, when you were asking about how to start a business and what's the first thing, if you think about that, participating in that economy, in the sharing economy, it makes sharing scalable. It has reduced transaction costs, making sharing the asset cheaper and easier and possible on a much larger scale as well, because people now can have access to internet, and you can, instead of being restricted with people in your area, now, as the case of lending and borrowing, people can look at people can reach each other in different countries around the world. So imagine the scale of that business. How could it be? So the outreach is possible with the technology that we already have. It allowed the transfer of knowledge and the ability to create more and more of networking to motivate the use of these products and services and websites or mobile applications. Everyone has, I'm sure, have like one or two applications on their phone. This is going to be another application, but for business reasons. So now I talked about what the sharing economy is, what the gig economy is, the collaborative economy is, how it works, what's the idea behind it. How does it impact sustainability? How can it impact sustainability in SMEs? Sharing economy or gig economy, it refers, as I mentioned, to a wide and varied range of practices. The main idea behind it, or the main characteristics, is that it serves in the economic responsibilities or the ability to save or make money. So the main idea, it is helps the communities to save money and to use the resources that they have efficiently, because it turns the economy from a consumerism to more a shared collaborative economy. People collaborate with each other. It has the ability to redistribute the value across the supply chain to producers and to consumers, away from the middlemen. So you are cutting all the middlemen, the things in the middle that results in a costly product at the end. It also provides a novel consumer experience because people now are sharing things with each other, sharing houses, sharing rides, sharing cars, even sharing meals with each other. There are some platforms in the gig economy that allows people in their houses to become like chefs if they are interested in cooking, but they cannot afford to open restaurant. So now they can have like a meal, or they can prepare a meal every day, and then people can book and come to their houses and have this meal together in that house to have this interesting and new dining experience. So it strengthens social ties because people are connected more with each other. So instead of people being disconnected because they are all the time online, now they are going to meet offline and they are able to connect with each other. And most importantly, it reduces the ecological and carbon footprints, because now we are less producing less. If the same, instead of selling 10 drones or 10 mowers, for example, you are selling only one because there are 10 people sharing it because they actually don't use it every day. They will use it exactly once or twice per year. So, for example, staying in existing homes reduce the demand of new hotels. Why buying new hotels, consuming all this water, all this, because hotels industry, for example, are known for consuming lots of energy and carbon emission and so on. Sharing spaces is less resource intensive than letting it. Examples of sustainability as well, or how can small businesses integrate or participate in the sharing economy. It also extends to the retail industry. People now are sharing their own clothes. So the fashion industry, which is one of the most industries also that consumes water, because one garment, one cotton t-shirt, it consumes hundreds of liters of water. if you look at the statistics on how the production of the clothes are. It consumes lots and lots and lots of water and carbon emission. So now there are these sorts of platforms that allows people to share their own clothes together, like rent the runaway, or another also Miss Paris, another Chinese dress rental platform. It helps people just to use it, their clothes, the extras clothes, for 1 or 2 times together. So they can swap as well. We have also another student at the university who started something called Swift, which is about people swapping their own clothes. So it's not only renting from each other, but also you could swap. You have something that you have, like a dress or like a jacket that you used for a few times and you're not using it anymore. And then someone else might have the same size, something else that you like. So you swap your clothes together. So what other things also for sustainability that these SMEs that are participating in the gig economy can use? These consumers, they save their money, they cut down on the household expenses, because, for example, if someone can help the other neighbor in ironing or sewing, on cleaning their house or doing anything for them, this is cutting the household expenses, because you are not going to use a professional cleaner or a professional tailor, because you can just use the spare time and maybe swap even the tasks together, because in some platforms it allows you to swap services. So someone can do a service for you, someone else can do the service for you. It reduces environmental impact. It connects people together. It alleviates societal problems such as hyperconsumption. People have, like the example of the clothing. Why always, whenever you need something, you need to go to the shop and buy something new? Why don't you just use one thing for one time, and then that's it, with the fraction of the price of that you are going to pay in a new product or service? Pollution. It also alleviate pollution, alleviate poverty by lowering cost of economic coordination with the communities. Communities now can be connected together through these apps and these platforms very easily and very cheaply. It also builds opportunities for historically disadvantaged population to fully participate in the economy. If you think about it, now this economy created job opportunities for different individuals who might not be well educated, who might not be able to work in multinationals and big companies and big corporations, who might not have the knowledge and the money and the skills to start their own business. What else can they do? They can easily ride an Uber. They can easily participate in things like TaskRabbit, Neighborly, and do anything that they can do and get some extra money. Also, people who cannot buy cars. Now, instead of just buying a car, they can share a car and they can just go to their own jobs, or they can all places, their different places with transport. If their job necessitates that they need a car, they go with a car, not public transport. So that allows them now to go to work, use without the burden of buying a car, paying insurance for the car, paying gas for the car, and so on. Maybe some people are part-time, they're not working full-time, and they just need that kind of transportation. So examples of how these platforms in fact impacted and boosted economic growth. In a study of Airbnb, the platform that allows individuals to go and rent spare places or spare houses for holidays in other people's houses, uh, they found that because an Airbnb rental tend to be cheaper than a hotel, because they don't give you the services that they give in a hotel, people actually stay longer, because one night in a hotel, you can, by the price that you pay for one night in a hotel, you can stay at least 3 or 4 nights in an Airbnb in a place. So people now stay longer in a place, they spend more in the economy, they travel around, they go to local shops, they buy souvenirs, they use the public transportation or any sorts of transportation. That is boosting the economy. So also, by doing this, by participating in this, you would find that there is more equal distribution of benefits because there is reallocation of wealth across the value chain. So instead of only the hotels getting all the money, also people in the economy, they can get some money out of it. Um, so also people who cannot afford to who have like some extra tasks that they can do, they can actually now participate in the economy. So instead of being excluded because they don't have they cannot work on a regular traditional job, now they are participating, they allowing them, and that means that there is more equal distribution of benefits for everyone in the community. So it supports vulnerable populations. So, for example, another thing like Airbnb is called couch surfing. Couch surfing allows people to come and stay in also like a couch, on extra couch or an extra space in the houses. So it's not as fancy as Airbnb where they can give you a whole home or a whole room. It just comes an extra space. That allows people who cannot afford to pay for hotels or for different fancy Airbnbs to go and just explore the world, travel, and just share the couch of someone else in a place. So it presents a great opportunity to support vulnerable people when traveling to explore the work or study options in new cities. Even students can now use it for different, going to different places and so on. These ventures, Airbnb and couch surfing and all the ride sharing platforms, it attracted over $60 million of the total investments in 2013. Ride sharing, another example of how can this sharing economy or gig economy impacts on vulnerable population. Drivers with extra seat in their cars offer, ride sharing is based on the idea that drivers with extra seats in their cars offer these seats to interested passengers. So someone who was going already to Jakarta or is going already to London from Southampton, they can have someone else because they're driving already, they are going already, and they have extra space with them. Why not someone else? You jump on that seat and go with them and actually just share that ride with them and share the transport, the expenses with them, and then helps in reducing 2 cars, 3 cars, 100 cars going all of them, they're going to the same place. One shared card reduce the need for 9 cars on the road. Presents it also, ride sharing present opportunities to support vulnerable people who are isolated due to the lack of vehicle ownership or driving ability. Some people, they don't know how to drive. Some people don't own cars. So that allows them to use another car spare space instead of buying one. Cost related to car ownership is really high. And the business models for public transportation is sometimes it is not as easy in some countries, especially with high spaces or that have like mountains and things like that. So maybe it's public transportation is not as easy. This solves the problems of people who wants to go to work somewhere, but they cannot own or they cannot have access to public transport and so on. Another platform is called BlaBlaCar. Also, it allows people to drive together. So you have in your GPS, you have a GPS, and then it can shows you your location and where is the nearest car near to you, next to you, and it shows you this person is going to this place, this person is going to this place. So you just click and you say, okay, I'm going to car share my ride with that person. Kiva is another example, as I mentioned. It allows loans. The platform connects people through lending, alleviating poverty. It is very similar to Zupa. This online micro-lending service allows anyone to make micro loans to borrowers across the world. It raises over 1 million pounds a week for the working poor in over 60 countries. So if someone has a small business, if like an old woman want to start like a small business, maybe to do handcraft things or to do small things, and of course she doesn't have the ability to get loan from the bank, she can use someone or can help her, and she can use Kiva in order to get the loans for it. So it allows a lender, for example, to choose a borrower and make a loan, and then transfers the loan to that person, and then the borrower repays the money, and then the Kiva pays the loan to the lender on a monthly basis. So it is very organized, it is very known, it is used in a very efficient way. And it has an impact. Kiva by numbers, there are 414,000 borrowers received Kiva loans until now. In total, loans funded since 2005 is $1 billion. New countries, there is different countries participating. There is 50 states where Kiva and US borrowers now have. So, and it finances and gives funds to different places and different industries: agriculture, education, someone want to start a business in the food, clothing, retail, services. So it has different sorts of loans and different sorts of things. Also, food sharing is it's another idea, or is another way of sharing that sharing economy or gig economy platforms participated in. For example, some people who has extra produce and they don't need to use it, they can share. There is this platform that is called Not Far From the Tree. It's a platform that is in Canada, and it allows fruit sharing. It's a fruit sharing project that provides opportunities for individuals to share access to their private fruit trees. In most cases, volunteers pick the unwanted fruit on private and public property and distribute the fruit to the tree owners, volunteers, and community organizations. Another platform is called Garden Share, where people who have an extra land and they don't want, or they can't use it, they can actually allow someone else to take the land, grow the land, use the land, and then even like just use the produce from it. And they either can share it, or they can just pay some money from the landowner in order to rent it and grow some fruits and vegetables and plants, either for themselves or even to share it. Maybe because they live in apartments, maybe they cannot buy a land, and so on, and they just want to rent a land for some time. So different examples. This also is another sort of platform that allows people to share their tasks and to share things. It aims at fighting poverty and social exclusion because it allows individuals to offer service and knowledge without formal payment. So again, someone who knows how to write good in English, someone else might have another task with computer, so they share together the services with each other. How about the impact of the gig economy on the agriculture sector? How can you, as students in the agriculture industry, in the agriculture domain, use this for your businesses or in your fields? What is happening? What is happening in developing countries? What is happening in emerging economies? What is happening in the world? And what is happening actually in Indonesia? There are now, since I'm sure, of course, you know more better than me, that Indonesia is an agricultural country. The total population working in the agriculture sector reached 40 million people so far. It's really highly depending on the agriculture, but there are some problems facing farmers over there. For example, disparity of the commodity prices at the farmer's level and the end consumer. So from the farmer until the end consumer, consumers pay a lot of money, but the farmers themselves, they don't reach and they don't have the big share like because throughout the supply chain, the money that the farmers they get, it gets less and less and less and less, and the distribution until it reaches the final consumer, it doesn't allow farmers to get much money from the produce that they sell. Lack of information. Sometimes they don't have information, so that they miss on some opportunities on what are the prices in the market, what are the products out there, what are the things that are impacting the different distribution and supplies chain. And the end of that, they actually don't benefit a lot from that. So some platforms decided to start also to participate in the sharing economy platform or the gig economy platform in that sector, to help to solve and reduce these problems and in the country. So there are mobile applications that have been launched in the country aiming at addressing these problems. Some of these applications are created to help, for example, to connect the farmers and the buyers directly. And in other cases, provide channels for investors to invest directly as well, in specifically for businesses or for people who wants to start a small business, or to improve something in their farm, or to invest in the equipment that they want to use in order to improve and their irrigation, or to improve and to make it the farming and process more efficient, for example. So it's very similar to the Kiva. That's why I introduced these different platforms, to give you an idea about what these platforms in other industries are doing, and to see how these platforms can be replicated and actually are replicated in the agriculture sector. So some applications are created, for example, to provide real-time food and agriculture product prices. So the farmer knows what exactly is the price of these supplies, what is the price of the things on the spot. So they are more connected with what's going on and have some more more information that can allow them to make informative decisions on the pricing, on the supply chain, and so on. Some applications created to help farmers to apply smart farming, which improves the quality of the harvest put. Some mobile applications also allow to unused farming equipment. So someone, as I mentioned, has a truck that they are not using that month, or for example, in that week, someone else, another farm in the neighborhood, can use that truck for that time, and then they share these things together, the equipment together, because in the farming, it entails very heavy industry and very heavy equipment that are expensive and can be used efficiently between farmers. Different examples: EM3 Agri-Service. This is actually, I guess, in Indonesia. So EM3 Agri-Service, India, sorry. It's an Indian SME that helps farms or farmers to rent equipment and machinery via a platform. The company used sharing economy values, the same values that I talked about, in order to maximize the resources. It brings expensive farming technology to farmers on pay-for-use basis. So you just use it once, you pay for it, you pay for the use itself, not for the equipment. It helps farmers, small-scale farmers, to keep up with the globalization and advances in the agricultural tech. Another example, this is from Indonesia, is Tani Hub. Tani Hub is a big group. It has different services. It's specifically for the agriculture. It provides and connects farmers again with people. So instead of going through all these big middlemen, as I mentioned, one of the problems is that farmers don't get the whole price. It allows the farmers to connect directly to consumers. It can deliver to them. It can help them to get even like the fresh fruits and vegetables directly to individuals, instead of going through the wholesalers and middlemen in the middle. It helps farmers to use these things efficiently. Another one is called Kiva. It provides a platform for hundreds of organic food producers to sell their products and delivers the products to the consumers and buyers. Tani Hub also, this is the impact. Over 85% of those who engaged in the agriculture are smallholders, farmers with less than 2 hectares of land. So it's all SMEs that are participating because they really want to benefit from these services, or they want to benefit from these opportunities. Those SMEs are unable to tap into the opportunities offered by Indonesia's economic growth. That's why they needed that help, someone to participate with, someone to help them to distribute their products directly to consumers and lessen the burden of the that they have to pay for the middlemen and so on. And their lack of access to market has been worsened also, of course, with the global pandemic that is happening now. So Tani Hub does not only function as an agricultural product, e-commerce, but also it provides finance similar to Kiva. It helps people, it connects people, again, small farmers with investors to help them to improve their agricultural process, to improve their farms, the process or what they are offering and so on. The peer-to-peer lending platform provides cultivation and trade loans to farmers with limited access to formal financial institutions. It has different impacts on sustainable developments. For example, farmers using the Tani Hub's platform have recorded at least a 20% increase in their income, while farmers who also participate in Tani Fund have generated an additional 50% of income because of that use and because of that advantage that they have. And these outcomes closely align with the key sustainable development goals that we covered last week. This is Kiva is also another platform that I mentioned, serving fresh and organic products from hundreds of organic local farmers. The consumers have convenient and affordable access to organic produce, and which is, if they want to buy it from any other place, it will be 30 to sometimes 100% more expensive than this platform offers, because it again reduces the cost of the middle, and it just connects directly the organic producers to consumers. Different ideas that are there. So why entrepreneurs now are jumping into the sharing economy bandwagon, why everyone need to share? Because of it's growing, it's an economy, it's a social economy that is growing. It's the growth, it's for the revenues flowing through the sharing economy directly into people's wallets are estimated to surpass $3.5 billion in the next few years. Companies finding, fusing the underutilized assets, whether in the agriculture sector, in the hospitality sector, through this peer-to-peer online market. Investments in the peer-to-peer business is quadrupled. Yeah, which means that it is 4 times only from 2009 to 2011, $400+ million worth. It is growing, so it is growing over there, and it helps, as I mentioned, social equity and justice, extreme human deprivation. The global goal for sustainable development helped companies to engage, like the Tani Hub group, to help in achieving these sustainable development goals. Also, because of the planetary boundaries, which means that in one of the research, famous research of some research institution in Amsterdam, they looking at the climate change, they found that in fact we have different zones now in the environment. We have the red zone, the yellow zone, the green zone. They divided the zones where the areas that we really the world need to work on into 3 different zones. They say that the red zone is the zone which is really endangered, and we need to be very careful about our carbon dioxide emission, our biodiversity, and we need to start businesses and to start in consuming and producing in a way that really helps that red zone to become green or yellow. So the planetary boundary is talking about the climate change, the biodiversity, and so on, and it allows us to look at all these kinds of dangers that are happening here. So the takeaways from all this is that sharing economy, or the gig economy, is the act of sharing one's access capital rather than creating a new capital. So sharing access instead of creating something new. It envisions a future in which people won't outright own many products they use. Instead, they will rent, share, swap, or borrow them, as all the examples that I mentioned, there are opportunities for businesses like and for new business people and for brilliant minds like yourselves to innovate and to become part of this collaborative trend and think strategically about how to shift their business model or how to start a business model that can benefit from that. Digitalization of agriculture sector in Indonesia is growing and is the future for agriculture. And from what is called agropreneurs, which is entrepreneurs in the agriculture sector. So we need to think about, and we need to understand that the world is looking for the more zebra companies. Zebra companies is the companies that are both black and white. They are for profit and also for social good. And these are different examples throughout the 3 sessions that showed you how actually can you start a business that can achieve these goals. I hope these 3 sessions helped you to have a better or a different understanding or perspective of business, that business can be, and you can start easily a zebra company, whether in the gig economy or not, that can, but also can have a profit, but also has a good cause. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed that session.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sanas, for the insightful lecture. I think the topic of gig economy is totally new for me, especially for our student. And I just want to share that I did supervise my student who doing research for focusing on the effectivity of a business model between farmer and Tani Hub. So I think this issue is really good. Okay, before we continue for the Q&A session, I just want to inform that the second speaker still hasn't confirmed, and 1 hour ago he texted me that he is on the way in the Borneo Island. So we monitor him because at the moment the second speaker, Mr. Sandi, is still in the middle of forest. So we'll keep in touch. Okay, wait for a second. Okay, so we still have approximately 15 minutes for Q&A session with Dr. Sanas while we waiting Mr. Sandi, Kang Sandi, because he said the connection in the middle forest in Kalimantan Island is really difficult. So I would like to invite a participant. If you have any question related to the topic, the gig economy. Does anyone want to ask? Okay. Helmi? Oh, yes, Helmi.
Yeah, Pak.
Hello, Helmi, how are you?
I'm fine today, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Specific comments or feedback or questions that you would have?
Yes, I have one question. Can I ask it now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I just want to ask your opinions. So, in this sharing economy system, is the role of influencer was so important? Just it. Thank you.
Thank you. Influencers in terms of like celebrities and endorsements and things like that?
Yes, like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is more the role of consumers is more important, because consumers are the ones who are reviewing these platforms. So in all these platforms, it's the reviewers or the consumers are the one who really would help in either the success for this, the continuity, sustainability, and success of these platforms or not, because the consumers nowadays are the ones who will have the power. So for example, if you are in Uber, you're using an Uber, they will ask you at the end of the trip for a review. If you are going in an Airbnb, staying in someone's house, you will write a review about the host. So the power is on the consumer side rather than influencers, because they are the ones who experience. So what they say is more important and more powerful than influencer. Influencers can be good for the brands or for celebrating a brand or a specific product, but that specific economy is very sensitive and is very depending on the consumer. That's why they are the more powerful in the whole this economy.
All right. Thank you for your answer.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Oh, I think Mr. Mushammad you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. So I just want to inform you that this event followed by undergraduate student, postgraduates, and also alumni, and the lecturer as well. So I think, as you mentioned, that there's so many challenges for doing and practice the gig economy, because, as you said, this is typical of a new model of sharing economy platform. And then, well, let me check. Is there any other question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does any participant want to have a question? Ijal, did you raise your hand? Oh no, I think someone raised his hand. Okay, maybe I've got one question, Shanas. Maybe practicing the concept of the gig economy in Western country is totally different. Let's say taking case in the developing countries like Indonesia, because so many challenges, especially related to the issue of economy. What do you think if the gig economy versus contract employment in the perspective of the whole concept of business?
Yeah. So there is the two models is the gig economy, people who are participating, and that raises some challenges as well. And one of the risks of the sharing economy employees is that they are participating in an economy that is not as regulated as, for example, someone who's having a formal job, a formal contract with someone. That is one of the risks, definitely. And I think we all heard about the Uber's accident, or maybe some of you heard about the Uber's accident when one customer was killed in a fight by the Uber driver, and then Uber said, it's not, I don't own the company, I don't own the car, so no one was held responsible because the responsibility was blurred, who actually owns what. Also, one of the risks or one of the criticism of the sharing economy is that or the gig economy, is that these employers, they don't have benefits, they don't have insurance, they don't have all this. But it is now, since it is an economy that is growing, and I shared with you the figures, the numbers, it is now very clear that in different countries, they are trying to regulate it. So, for example, in some countries, they don't allow Uber to operate there unless they have a physical place, they pay their taxes, and they held responsible for their employees. So there is, the role now is with governments to regulate that. And of course, because it started in Europe and the US, so it is more kind of advanced, but because it is moving now to different countries, including emerging economies, developing economies, and different parts of the world, as you can see, even in Indonesia itself, I showed you, and there was many examples that I read and I saw for Indonesia. So if it exists and it is growing as such, that means that there are more regulations that is going to happen and going to be included. But of course, yes, it's kind of a very great question, and or very great notice that the contractors, it's very similar to contractors, maybe even like less also formalized than contractor, because it's just you are employee through a platform. The platform, you can, there is no fixed income comes to you, it's on demand. But yeah, it works for some people, as I mentioned, but of course, maybe if it doesn't work for specific people, then they need to go for the traditional route until it is fully regulated. Yes, thank you.
So thank you very much for the answer. And I think the second speaker already confirmed that he is ready now. So
Okay,
I believe that during 3 sessions, with Dr. Shanas, all of us have obtained a fruitful discussion,
thank you so much.
related to the principle of communication in the agribusiness, and we have learned a lot from you, Dr. Shanas.
Thank you.
And you deliver a very interactive topics, and on behalf of the committee, I would thank you for delivering such important material that all of us can deepen our knowledge about the topic you deliver. So thank you very much, and
thank you so much for
see
having
you
me.
next time.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's been a great pleasure talking about these topics. I hope that everyone would benefit from them, and I hope to be in touch with you, and maybe some of the students might be interested in coming and doing some masters in our department to broaden their knowledge more about these topics if you are interested. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
Before you leave, Dr. Shanas, last week I've got one question. Is it possible opportunity for our student if he or she want to continue a master degree in Southampton under the School of Business in your university?
Yes, definitely, of course. If you would like myself or one of my colleagues also to deliver, to give you some information more, or maybe do a quick talk, like 20 minutes or something, talk about the different master's degrees that we offer, and our department and our expertise, and the structure of the program, please let me know, because I am the program leader of the MSc programs in our department. So I'm happy to talk to them, to all the students, another time about our programs, just to give you an idea about where we are, Southampton, the structure. It's only 1 year, so that's really good thing. So you can just have your MSc degree in 1 year and enjoy the staying in the UK and so on.
That's good information. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I think so see you next couple of weeks, hopefully, inshallah. So I saw second speaker already there. So if you want to, she is leaving now. Oke, Kang Sandi, halo, assalamualaikum Kang Sandi. Saya melihat Kang Sandi sudah join di sini. Tadi saya lihat cuma live lagi. Oke, sebentar saya chat sudah siap. Oke, kita tunggu sebentar, Kang Sandi. Mana tadi Kang Sandi? Di dalam kendaraan tadi. Oke. Baik, saudara-saudara sekalian, sambil menunggu Kang Sandi join lagi, jadi saya ini menghandle chat dengan Kang Sandi dan manajemennya serta di Zoom ini, sehingga harus noleh kanan dan kiri. Tapi oke, tidak ada masalah dengan beliau dan beliau sudah confirm bisa join, tetapi mungkin tidak akan full karena posisinya di dalam perjalanan. Oke, kita sambil menunggu, sekedar mengingatkan kepada semua peserta untuk mengisi daftar hadir, ya. Insya Allah, ini masih insya Allah ya, tapi mudah-mudahan nanti bisa. Kita akan merekap kehadiran Anda selama 3 kali. Jika nanti eligible semuanya, kita akan mengirimkan sertifikat dari program International Guest Lecture 3-in-1 program di Fakultas Pertanian. Jadi ini sebuah terobosan yang luar biasa ya. Tahun pertama sudah bisa mengikuti program internasional dan mudah-mudahan nanti bisa ya tadi peluang melanjutkan sekolah dengan beasiswa bisa, dan kalau ingin dibimbing dokter Sanas tinggal ngeklikkan gitu kan, sudah pernah ketemu. Oke, saya panggil lagi Kang Sandi. Halo, apakah sudah join di sini? Wah, ini sinyalnya beliau. Sebentar. Selesai. Oke, sambil kita menunggu, saya teleponnya dulu supaya Oke, terima kasih Kang. Baik, saudara-saudara sekalian, ini Kang Sandi sudah masuk. Saya kira langsung saja, kalau jadi sinyalnya keluar masuk katanya, tapi oke, kita persilahkan Kang Sandi, kalau sudah masuk langsung mulai saja. Oke. Mana ya Kang Sandi ya, sebentar. Baik, saya ingatkan lagi untuk peserta yang hadir, silahkan mengisi daftar hadir secara online di form chat yang sudah kami sediakan. Oke. Gimana ini? Atau lewat telepon aja ya, nanti direkam aja ya. Sebentar. Nah, ini saya coba memberi option baru ke Kang Sandi untuk melakukan phone conference ya, voice message ya, sehingga nanti langsung saya siarkan di sini. Oke. Jadi kita coba lewat telepon saja, nanti mudah-mudahan bisa. Oke. Nah. Oke. Assalamualaikum Kang Sandi. Wah, memang sinyalnya ini hilang terus beliau. Oke, sambil menunggu, jangan khawatir, karena beliau semalam mengirimkan materi PowerPoint ya. Jadi agak sedikit repot kalau dengan milenial yang sangat sibuk sekali ngatur jadwalnya. Bahkan siang hari ini beliau sudah belusukan di dalam hutan di Kalimantan gitu. Ini tentunya menjadi tantangan. bagi Anda semua ya, bahwa menjadi mahasiswa pertanian itu ternyata menyenangkan gitu, bisa belusukan ke sana kemari gitu ya. Oke, sebentar, kita akan cek. Sebentar, saya coba kontak. Oke, kayaknya kesulitan. Baik, kita tunggu sampai nyambung. Oke. Oke. Baik, saudara-saudara sekalian, sambil kita menunggu beliau, ya, kita coba refleksi ya sambil review mengisi waktu saja. Tapi insya Allah beliau sudah confirm tadi sempat masuk saya lihat. Kira-kira setelah mengikuti kuliah ya selama 3 sesi, pelajaran apa yang mungkin sudah Anda dapatkan terkait dengan hal-hal kebaruan ya di bidang proses pembelajaran? Mungkin ada yang ingin sharing ya sambil kita menunggu Kang Sandi. Silahkan. Ada?
Permisi Pak.
Oke. Helmi Novel, silahkan Helmi Novel, mungkin kalau mau sharing.
Kalau pengalaman saya ya Pak ya, ini terutama buat yang dokter Shanas materinya, itu benar-benar ngelatih bahasa Inggris Pak, baik dalam mendengarkan maupun dalam penyampaian pendapat. Dan ini juga termasuknya sangat bagus sih. Mungkin ada sedikit kali saat beliau menyampaikan materinya saya masih kurang paham, tapi setidaknya poin-poin atau maksud utamanya insya Allah paham Pak. Jadi bisa mencatat dengan ya paling tidak dimengerti orang lain lah ini resumnya. Sekian Pak.
Ya. Baik, terima kasih Helmi. Memang kemarin itu saya sempat membaca semua komentar yang masuk melalui Google Form. Memang ada beberapa mahasiswa itu yang request, Pak, bisa nggak disampaikan ke Dokter Sanas untuk reduce the speed of speech, ya, mengurangi kecepatan berbicara, karena sangat sulit gitu, dan saya sudah menyampaikan, tetapi ya alhamdulillah untuk hari ini lebih jelas gitu ya, tidak terlalu cepat, dan topiknya juga sangat baru. Jadi saudara-saudara nanti ketika misalkan ya membuat karya tulis ilmiah, mungkin dikompetisikan atau skripsi, tema tentang misalkan the gig economy ini juga menarik ya, menarik. Bahkan tadi saya sempat menyampaikan bimbingan saya itu meneliti tentang efektivitas bisnis model antara petani dan Tani Hub. Itu begitu lulus langsung ditawari pekerjaan, ya, pekerjaan sebagai peneliti di lembaga penelitian yang sangat kredibel sekali, karena memang dia prestasi akademiknya bagus ya, lulusan tercepat ya, IPK-nya di atas 3,6 ya, cum laude ya, dan anaknya sangat rajin gitu. Nah, mudah-mudahan ini bisa menginspirasi Anda-anda semua ya untuk bisa belajar lebih baik gitu ya. Dan yang tidak kalah pentingnya ada juga mahasiswa lain ya, yang mungkin karena telaten belajar ya, mencoba mengasah skill bahasa Inggrisnya, dia juga iseng-iseng aja, bukan iseng ya, melalui perencanaan yang baik, melamar beasiswa dan keterima, sekarang sedang kuliah di Inggris ya, di Coventry University, ambil S2. Ini menurut saya sangat bagus ya. Dan perlu diingat juga bahwa ke depan tantangan Anda itu semakin berat gitu ya. Berat, apalagi kaitannya dengan agribisnis ya. Bayangkan zaman saya dulu itu satu kelas itu hanya ada 30. Oke. Sebentar. Oke, jadi Bayangkan sekarang Anda lebih dari 300 mahasiswa satu angkatan. Jadi kompetitor Anda itu banyak sekali, ya. Nah, ini tentunya Anda harus kerja keras ya, nggak bisa kalau santai-santai. Dan program-program seperti yang kita lakukan ini harapannya bisa meningkatkan akademik atmosfer. Setidaknya nanti Anda bisa terinspirasi. Wah, saya kalau belajar harus lebih rajin, lebih giat. Oh ini, Kang Sandi join, tapi keluar lagi nih, baru saja muncul. Kang Sandi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Agus,
Waalaikumsalam.
Perjalanan dan melewati hutan, jadi jaringannya cukup terkendala.
Langsung Kang Sandi, langsung saja, silahkan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, teman-teman. Selamat sore, di sini sudah 3:30, dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Rabbi sahari sadri wasir amdi wa datam lisani faqauli. Teman-teman semua, terima kasih banyak atas undangannya di pertemuan ketiga kita hari ini. Izinkan saya share, karena mengingat waktu yang cukup terbatas dan saya khawatir terkendala sinyal. Jadi izinkan saya share materi hari ini. Saya akan menyampaikan terkait peluang wirausaha untuk mendukung UMKM, yang mana tagline besarnya kita akan coba ambil terkait petani milenial mendukung diversifikasi pangan lokal, di mana teman-teman hari ini kita sedang mengalami suatu masalah, suatu kondisi di mana teman-teman semua sudah menyadari bahwa di era pandemi COVID-19 ini tidak hanya masalah virus corona, tetapi kita juga akan dilintasi oleh krisis pangan. Nah, krisis pangan inilah yang kita bisa ambil baik dari sisi peluang maupun dari sisi ancaman. Nah, di mana tagline besar ini kita akan coba mendukung diversifikasi pangan lokal dengan arah pertanian yang maju, mandiri, dan modern. Teman-teman semua, di era pandemi COVID-19 ini, teman-teman juga sudah mengetahui bahwa kita telah terganggu. COVID-19 ini telah mengganggu ada 3 subsektor besar yang tentu di pertanian, dari sisi sistem produksi, dari sisi sistem pengolahan hasil panen, dan dari sistem distribusi. Terutama yang paling banyak rasa itu adalah sistem distribusi. Nah, teman-teman semua, bicara tadi ketahanan pangan, seluruh negara saat ini sedang menjaga ketahanan pangannya itu sendiri, termasuk tidak terkecuali Indonesia. Kita tahu bahwa Indonesia juga sedang mengembangkan food estate, yang mungkin teman-teman sudah banyak mendengar gitu.
Maaf Mas Sandi, suaranya kecil. Mungkin sinyalnya ya yang terbatas. Monggo dilanjut. Nah ini Kang Sandinya hilang lagi nih sinyalnya ya. Kita sambil nunggu adzan mungkin ya, sebentar. Baik saudara-saudara sekalian, jadi saya akan mencoba membantu sharing screen ya dari apa yang disampaikan oleh Kang Sandi tadi, yang intinya bahwasanya
Suara sebentar.
Oh, terdengar Kang? Terdengar. Saya bantu sharing screen Kang ini Kang. Oke. Ya, baik saudara-saudara sekalian, di screen yang saya sharing itu adalah screen dari Kang Sandi, yang intinya tadi beliau menyampaikan bahwasanya problem pertanian itu sangat kompleks ya. Ada problem di sektor hulu, ya, ada di on farm, ada di sektor hilir gitu. Nah, dari ilustrasi gambar yang ditampilkan ini memang sangat menarik sekali, ya, bagaimana pemenuhan kebutuhan pangan secara mandiri itu disiapkan gitu ya. Dan salah satu option yang bisa dilakukan itu Kang Sandi menyampaikan tentang diversifikasi ketahanan pangan lokal. Nah, ini yang menurut beliau cukup penting juga. Oke, saya akan coba lihat dulu apakah ada. Oh, ini hilang. Oke, ini live chatnya saya tunjukkan ya. Oke, Kang. Kayaknya oke. Kalau tidak mungkin nanti saya akan request melalui audio video ya supaya beliau bisa bergabung. Nah, ini. Oke.
Halo.
Halo Kang. Terus.
Siap,
monggo Kang.
Mohon maaf, saya teruskan lagi ya ini.
Siap Kang.
Saya ini, aduh, ini jalurnya. Baik teman-teman semua, jadi tentu dari si pengantar itu ada upaya untuk memperkuat ketahanan pangan kita, yang mana ini harus bergerak beriringan, harus saling bahu-membahu, dan para milenial tentunya, di mana upaya memperkuat ketahanan pangan ini ada 3 langkah yang kita bisa lakukan. Yang pertama adalah intensifikasi, yang kedua adalah ekstensifikasi, dan yang terakhir adalah diversifikasi pangan. Ketiga-tiganya ini merupakan peluang bagi teman-teman semua dari sisi pendekatan komunikasi, dari sisi pendekatan pengembangan wirausaha dan lain sebagainya. Nah, teman-teman semua, untuk intensifikasi sendiri kita bahasa sederhananya adalah bagaimana cara mengoptimalkan suatu area tertentu untuk menghasilkan produksi yang maksimal ya. Nah, di sini teman-teman semua kita para penyuluh dan petani itu berkolaborasi dalam intensifikasi pertanian, menerapkan Industri 4.0 dari sisi digitalisasi. Kita benih melalui aplikasi benih, melalui umpan harvester misalnya dan lain sebagainya, pemanenan, lalu aplikasi pestisida menggunakan drone dan lain sebagainya. Nah, ini juga peluang usaha. Para petani kolonial itu kan tidak bisa mengoperasikan dan lain sebagainya. Ini bisa merupakan suatu potensi bisnis yang bisa dikembangkan oleh teman-teman semua. Lalu yang kedua, ekstensifikasi. Kalau ekstensifikasi teman-teman sudah mengetahui, saya rasa dari Fakultas Pertanian terutama, kita bicara perluasan, kita bicara pencetakan sawah baru, lalu pengembangan tuh yang sekarang food estate ya, ketahanan pangan nasionalnya ada yang 30.000 hektar sudah siap untuk digunakan, dan sisanya ini sedang dibuat dahulu untuk terutama pengairan di primernya, di sekundernya, di tersier, quarter dan lain sebagainya. Nah, ini terutama salah satu pemerintah menggalakkan ekstensifikasi di lahan rawa, lalu juga di food estate yang sekarang sedang dikerjakan dan lain sebagainya. Yang terakhir adalah diversifikasi pangan lokal. Ini teman-teman para milenial, saya rasa termasuk saya sendiri, terkadang semacam gembili, mungkin gadung, ganyong itu komoditas-komoditas yang jarang dimakan oleh kita. Tetapi ini menjadi fokus, bisa ada di beberapa lokasi saya rasa yang masih mempertahankan atau masih menjual komoditas-komoditas yang bagi milenial ini merupakan komoditas yang unik. Tapi ini bisa menjadi peluang, peluang potensi yang bisa dikembangkan di era pandemi COVID-19 ini. Selanjutnya kita bicara percepatan tanam di lahan existing. Ini yang tentu di lahan existing ini teman-teman semua ada pemanfaatan alsintan yang digalakkan gitu ya, terutama oleh pemerintah, oleh brigade, baik Pemda, baik provinsi, baik itu pusat itu sendiri, lalu ada pengiriman, lalu juga saprotan, pengaplikasian benih, pupuk, pestisida, pengendalian OPT, dan optimalisasi lahan di pengarangan. Ini bisa menjadi referensi teman-teman semua. Salah satunya Kementan, yaitu alsintan jadi jawaban kekurangan tenaga kerja pertanian, yang kita tahu bahwa milenial saat ini masih terus bergerak untuk tertarik di sektor pertanian. Tetapi selain itu, memang kita juga diperkuat saat ini oleh alat modernisasi. Pemanfaatan lahan pekarangan ini yang jelas teman-teman semua menjadi suatu sektor yang berpotensi untuk dikembangkan lalu dijadikan bisnis gitu ya. Ada 3. Pertama adalah family farming, yang kedua adalah vertical farming, dan yang ketiga adalah urban farming. Kang Sandi, family farming itu seperti apa? Family farming itu bagaimana upaya kita mencukupi kebutuhan dalam keluarga itu sendiri. Ini yang banyak dikerjakan di wilayah-wilayah gitu ya, dan saya rasa dari sisi family farming banyak sekarang, salah satunya program pemerintah berkaitan dengan P2L gitu ya, program pangan pekarangan lestari yang digagas oleh Badan Ketahanan Pangan. Nah, ini juga digalakan nih ke KWT itu kelompok wanita tani ya, lalu juga ke taruna tani, anak-anak muda semacam kelompok tani. Kalau kelompok tani untuk kolonial, kalau taruna tani untuk milenial gitu ya. Nah, lalu selain itu vertical farming, ini salah satu gambarnya yang teman-teman saya rasa sudah mengetahui, banyak baik itu di perkotaan atau di daerah yang mengembangkan vertical farming, jadi menanam, membudidayakan baik itu dengan konvensional ataupun hidroponik yang arahnya vertikal. Lalu yang terakhir urban farming, ini adalah style baru di mana sedang berkembang orang-orang perkotaan gitu ya, melakukan budidaya sayuran-sayuran yang mudah diproduksi dan lain sebagainya. Teman-teman, tidak hanya di Kementerian Pertanian saya rasa, tetapi lintas kementerian saat ini juga sedang menggalakkan program yang mendukung sektor pertanian. Salah satunya adalah pemanfaatan lahan perhutanan sosial, ini yang digalakkan oleh BUMN gitu ya, terkait dengan intercropping, integrated farming, agroforestry. Ini salah satunya intercropping terjadi di salah satu daerah di mana menggabungkan antara padi dan kakao, lalu jagung, padi dan kakao, lalu jagung dan kelapa gitu ya. Nah, ini juga nih ada milenial tuh yang tentu didorong oleh Kementan dalam pemanfaatan lahan di wilayah perhutanan sosial. Nah, ini salah satunya integrated farming, sawit dengan sapi gitu ya. Siapa yang menjadi pengendali cash flow, siapa yang kita diarahkan untuk menjadi tanaman utamanya dan lain sebagainya. Pemanfaatan lahan perhutani. Nah, ini melalui inhutani ataupun pehutani. Bicara perkebunan Nusantara, saat ini sedang menggalakkan program pemberdayaan masyarakat desa kebun. Salah satunya ada lahan yang saya kelola, kurang lebih ada 94 hektar, itu menggunakan program pemberdayaan masyarakat desa kebun, teman-teman semua. Jadi ini sangat memungkinkan, banyak peluang-peluang yang bisa dikembangkan. Pemanfaatan lahan rawa, saya rasa teman-teman semua ini sudah diketahui banyak juga melalui integrated farming, lalu juga korporasi. Ini yang sedang digalakan. Terutama ada di pangan, teman-teman semua gitu ya, banyak yang dikorporasikan gitu ya, dari 5 hektar digabungkan jadi 10 hektar, 25 hektar dan lain sebagainya. Petani tetap berproduksi untuk mendukung ketersediaan pangan. Bagaimana tidak, teman-teman? Pangan ini adalah urusan hajat hidup orang banyak. Jadi tentu teman-teman semua kita tidak berhenti berproduksi, kita terus berproduksi. Bahasa Pak Kabadan adalah esok hari kiamat, hari ini pun kita harus tetap berbudidaya. Hari ini pun kita harus tetap bertanam. Nah, inilah yang tentu kita galakkan terus, teman-teman semua. Lalu Kang Sandi, milenial ini membuka potensi di mana? Ada nggak peluang usaha dan lain sebagainya? Banyak, teman-teman. Kita bisa mengisi di arah yang memang teman-teman bisa baca sesuai dengan kemampuan teman-teman. Sesuai dengan bahasanya apa ya, kalau bahasa bisnis itu willingness to pay. Ya, kemampuan bayar teman-teman itu di mana gitu ya. Nah, ini tentu milenial kita mensupport ketersediaan pangan dengan aspek-aspek bisnis yang kita kelola. Saya dari sisi hortikultura yang kemarin pada masa pandemi gitu ya, menyiapkan bersama dengan para petani UMKM di lapangan gitu ya, ketersediaan pangan. Lalu ini ada Mas Slamet dari sisi puyuh gitu ya, yang ini juga sekarang dengan pasmatnya. Nah, ini salah satu kegiatan Mas Slamet mensupport perkotaan gitu ya yang terbatas, kita antarkan yang tadinya jemput bola, kita sekarang yang tadinya kita menunggu bola, kita sekarang jemput bola. Nah, ini sebagai penutup teman-teman semua, di mana tentu Indonesia bukan lagi harus pro terhadap impor, tapi harus mampu menyediakan pangan sendiri, tidak tergantung impor gitu ya. Ini yang tentu sedang dipersiapkan. Lalu ada potensi gerakan ketahanan pangan nasional yang tentu sangat besar, dan ini bisa menjadi bisnis, bisa menjadi peluang bagi teman-teman semua gitu ya. Dari sisi mana mau berkontribusi? Apakah dari sisi teman-teman memiliki kapasitas, misal tadi itu petani terbatas karena alat-alatnya dan sebagainya, teman-teman beli alat-alatnya lalu sewakan dengan kekuatan teman-teman semua gitu ya. Nah, inilah yang tentu teman-teman semua menjadi peluang bagi teman-teman semua di tengah pandemi seperti ini untuk bersama-sama beriringan, yang semoga bisa memberikan gambaran kepada teman-teman semua di tengah pandemi seperti ini, potensi-potensi yang bisa dihasilkan, potensi-potensi yang bisa diisi oleh teman-teman itu seperti apa. Nah, itu tentu teman-teman yang bisa menilai sendiri. Yang pasti adalah banyak, baik itu dari sisi hulu maupun dari sisi hilir, saya rasa kedua-duanya sangat memungkinkan dikembangkan oleh teman-teman semua. Itu saja mungkin Pak Agus, terima kasih banyak, mohon maaf tadi sempat terganggu jaringan, mengingat ini berada di wilayah Kalimantan yang kita sedang kunjungan, dan tentu apabila ada hal yang memang kurang jelas sedang ditanyakan, tentu dengan senang hati saya tutup. Billahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Masya Allah, terima kasih banyak Kang Sandi.
Sama-sama, siap, sama-sama.
Ini di sela-sela kesibukan jenengan ini kita bisa tetap belajar ini. Mudah-mudahan kesempatan yang baik ini bisa memberikan inspirasi kepada semua mahasiswa. Perlu kami informasikan Kang Sandi, ini pesertanya juga diikuti peserta dari mahasiswa S1 dan pasca sarjana, juga alumni dan beberapa dosen di Fakultas Pertanian Universitas Brawijaya.
Salam dan salim tajim, Bapak Ibu semua.
Mungkin ini mumpung sinyalnya bagus, kita buka satu pertanyaan saja untuk Kang Sandi.
Silakan, tidak apa-apa.
Ayo, kalau ada.
Nih, saya lagi di wilayah PWMP ini, yang menerima manfaat PWMP di area Kalimantan Selatan.
Oke.
Silakan.
Fauzi mungkin ada. Fauzi, mana Fauzi? Kok di chat mau bertanya? Oke. Silakan. Ini waktunya Kang Sandi ngomong, bisa dapat sinyal bagus. Ada yang bertanya? Baik. Jadi saya tadi sempat mengikuti slide yang ditampilkan Kang Sandi, meskipun agak sedikit terganggu, tapi sangat jelas sekali Kang bahwa strategi kita dalam berbisnis di bidang pertanian ini tadi ada tips-tips, yaitu adanya intensifikasi, kemudian ekstensifikasi dan diversifikasi. Kalau menurut Kang Sandi, peluangnya di Jawa ini apakah sama atau berbeda dengan di luar Jawa, contohnya di Kalimantan, Kang Sandi?
Baik, terima kasih banyak Pak Agus. Bicara intensifikasi, sebetulnya lebih banyak potensi peluang di intensifikasi. Kenapa? Karena memang kita bicara inputan teknologi yang bisa untuk memaksimalkan produksi di lapangan, gitu. Salah satunya adalah tadi dengan intensifikasi. Kita masih sangat jauh produktivitas per hektar, misalnya di padi itu sendiri, lalu di sayuran. Karena kendala memang sisi cost terutama, lalu juga teknologi tadi, lalu varietas unggul dan lain sebagainya. Nah, ketika bicara kita di Kalimantan, memang saya mengunjungi beberapa wilayah saat ini, Nah, saya membandingkan Jawa ini memang dari sisi intensifikasinya lebih kuat. Intensifikasi dikembangkan besar-besaran. Apabila di Kalimantan itu sendiri yang saya lihat memang dari sisi pengaplikasian yang belum maksimal, lalu juga sebetulnya sedang dioptimalkan gitu ya, terutama di wilayah yang akan dikembangkan dari sisi food estate itu sendiri. Seluruh brigade bergerak ke Kalimantan, ke pengembangan, ke pengembangan food estate gitu ya, bagi teman-teman semua gitu, yang saya rasa ini sangat memungkinkan gitu ya bagi milenial masuk gitu ya. Dari sisi intensifikasinya tadi tuh, saya membayangkan misalnya petani ini kan tidak bisa menggunakan drone. Kemarin ada yang kunjungan penjajakan ke saya dengan pengaplikasian pestisida cukup kurang lebih kalau tidak salah itu 400.000 kali satu, itu sekitar 2 juta itu per hektar untuk aplikasi pestisida menggunakan drone. Tapi ketika kita menggunakan katakanlah konvensional, manual, karyawan-karyawan itu bisa sampai mungkin 2,5 juta gitu ya kalau tidak salah. Ini yang tentu sangat berpengaruh sekali gitu. Dan ini dari sisi yang pengaplikasinya kan tidak mungkin kolonial. Ini perlu teman-teman semua yang melaksanakan peluang itu gitu ya. Nah, kembali lagi tadi kalau dari sisi intensifikasi di Kalimantan yang saya lihat, saya kunjungi, ini belum semaksimal apa yang ada di Jawa. Begitu Pak Agus.
Baik, terima kasih Kang Sandi. Ini
sama-sama.
Saya ingat dulu waktu lulus itu dapat tawaran kerja di Kalimantan itu minder mau berangkat, Kang Sandi nggak berani. Tapi insya Allah ini mudah-mudahan peluangnya semakin besar dan teman-teman mahasiswa ini bisa berani nanti kalau dikirim ke Kalimantan, ke Papua, kemana gitu Kang Sandi ya.
Siap.
Ada
ini Mas Danang ya, tadi Mas Danang Sofa gini ya, oke saya balas.
Mas Danang. Ya, Mas Danang mungkin ada respon Mas Danang. Silakan. Dari yang disampaikan Kang Sandi, sedikit aja Mas Danang. Speakernya masih mute Mas Danang.
Silent ya, Mas Danang. Apa kabar Mas Danang?
Ya Pak.
Saya kemarin chat juga dengan Mas Helmi Naufal tuh, sering bermotor ya. Mengajak saya motoran, Mas Helmi. Nanti kita motoran ya.
Nih, Mas. Ditunggu ke Malang, Mas.
Siap.
Mungkin Mas Helmi ada komentar atau Mas Danang, silahkan. Apa yang disampaikan Mas Sandi?
Ya.
Silakan Helmi, kalau ada sedikit komentar respon.
Nggih Pak, sebentar. Tadi saya soalnya lebih fokus nyatetnya Pak. Sebentar. Untuk pemanfaatan lahan yang perhutani ini contohnya seperti apa ya Mas? Saya tadi kayaknya kurang nangkep deh.
Baik Mas Helmi, terima kasih banyak. Ya. Siap. Jadi terkait pemanfaatan lahan perhutani, jadi saat ini memang ada program tadi, salah satunya kalau di PTPN 8 itu adalah pemberdayaan masyarakat desa kebun. Nah inilah yang tentu perhutani juga ada yang namanya perhutanan sosial, yang mana diorientasikan suatu lahan tertentu yang bisa dimanfaatkan oleh masyarakat-masyarakat sekitar yang tentu itu mengikuti aturan mainnya, beda-beda. Kalau di pemberdayaan masyarakat desa kebun di PTPN 8 ada yang dari sisi kompensasi, ada yang dari sisi optimalisasi lahan gitu ya, bayar sewa profesional dan lain sebagainya. Nah, di perhutanan sosial ini pola-polanya juga beda-beda. Salah satunya adalah ada yang memang dia diberikan semacam mungkin silahkan dikelola lahan ini tanpa mengganggu tanaman utama, kayu-kayu dan lain sebagainya gitu ya. Nah, ini bisa dimanfaatkan biasanya di daerah-daerah yang terdampak atau yang memang berada di area tersebut, Mas Helmi. Gitu ya. Bicara misalnya di Cianjur itu ada. Lalu bicara itu misalnya di area Subang itu juga ada. Jadi banyak yang saat ini mengorientasikan ke pemanfaatan lahan supaya lebih produktif lagi, gitu ya. Nah, ini yang sedang digalakan tentu dari sisi ketahanan pangan, gitu ya, di mana kita tidak bergerak sendirian, tapi lintas sektoral kementerian lain pun ini saat ini terus gitu ya mengorientasikan supaya kita tadi bisa menjaga ketahanan pangan secara nasional kita. Nah tentu kembali lagi bicara masalah ketahanan pangan, ini bukan urusan hanya di tingkat pemerintahan saja, tetapi kita juga bisa masuk di sana, ikut andil. Ada dari sisi bisnis, ada dari sisi juga kita ikut berkontribusi sosialnya gitu ya. Nah, dari sisi bisnisnya adalah tadi peluang-peluangnya kita bisa isi tuh dengan misalnya dari sisi peluang bisnisnya mereka kita orientasikan menanam, misalnya kalau di perhutanan kan itu perdu ya, misalnya kita tanam jahe-jahean dan lain sebagainya gitu. Nah, itu yang bisa dimanfaatkan Mas Helmi gitu ya. Itu mungkin Mas Helmi, terima kasih banyak.
Oke, Kang Sandi, selanjutnya ada Gebrina. Ingin bertanya, Kang Sandi.
Halo Gebrina, selamat sore.
Halo, selamat sore Kang. Halo, bisa mendengar suara saya nggak?
Bisa mendengar, kameranya yang tidak terlihat.
Iya, mohon maaf Kang, di sini lagi hujan Kang, jadi kameranya nggak mendukung untuk on cam Kang. Maaf ya Kang ya.
Apa?
Koneksinya agak-agak mendedek-dek, jadi pakai paket data Kang. Mohon maaf ya Kang ya. Tapi izin bertanya boleh Kang?
Iya, nggak apa-apa.
Halo.
Santai. Take it easy.
Oke.
Take it easy.
Ya, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore Kang Sandi. Selamat sore Kang Sandi. Saya Gebrina dari Universitas Brawijaya, Fakultas Pertanian jurusan Agribisnis. Mau izin bertanya nih Kang. Tadi kebetulan pas lagi saya Zoom ini saya mengikuti Kang Sandi tuh tadi sempat mengatakan sedikit tentang smart agriculture ya Kang ya? Smart agriculture Kang. Iya Kang?
Yes.
Halo, iya. Nah, saya tuh tertarik nih Kang. Tadi saya langsung ingin bertanya, cuman saya mengolah kata-kata dulu. Aduh, gimana nih cara ngomongnya sama Kang Sandi nih? Seorang duta pertanian nih. Seorang duta pertanian milenial. Nah, iya Kang. Jadi kan saya tertarik nih Kang. Kebetulan Kang, saya itu punya menulis karya ilmiah dan PKM itu berkaitan dengan smart agriculture. Nah, judulnya itu tuh smart agriculture berbasis sensor sebagai solusi sistem pertanian konvensional. Ya, jadi saya memang mungkin ini karena lagi pandemi sih, jadi saya nggak langsung melakukan penelitian. Cuman ketika nanti mungkin semoga pandemi segera selesai, mungkin saya langsung melakukan penelitian gitu Kang. Saya tertarik gitu Kang, ketika melakukan penelitian berbasis teknologi sensor kayak gini nih Kang. Maksudnya kan kayak inovasi nggak sih, inovasi baru dari mahasiswa gitu. Nah, yang saya tanyakan ini apa saja sih inovasi teknologi canggih yang udah Kang Sandi terapkan berupa smart agriculture yang udah berjalan sampai sekarang tuh apa aja tuh Kang? Dan itu kinerjanya itu dinilai efektif dan efisien atau apa adakah kegagalan atau kendala gitu Kang?
Baik,
bagaimana
terima
Kang?
kasih banyak Gebrina.
Iya, terima kasih kembali Kang.
Jadi visioner sekali ya. Saya support penuh Mbak Gebrina. Mau penelitian di lahan saya silahkan. Mau itu ikutan lihat juga yang saya terapkan juga silahkan. Yang pasti begini, ke depan era precision farming itu sangat perlu. Kita bicara precision farming. Jadi kalau saat ini memang sedang menggalakkan konvensional farming gitu ya, saat ini ke depan juga sedang dipikirkan precision farming. Apa itu Kang Sandi tadi tuh? Jadi dari sisi bahkan negara-negara luar ini cukup satu remote smartphone gitu ya, mereka bisa mengendalikan semuanya. Nah, ini kan potensi yang bisa diisi oleh anak-anak muda, potensi yang bisa diisi oleh Mbak Gebrina. Saya kenal dengan, mungkin teman-teman silakan di searching, saya rasa teman-teman bisa sudah banyak ada referensi terkait Habibie Garden, sama tuh dengan apa yang diorientasikan oleh Mbak Gebrina. Jadi Habibie Garden ini dia mengembangkan suatu teknologi di mana konvensional lahannya, tetapi dari sisi irigasi, dari sisi kecukupan konsentrasi nutrisi, dari sisi apalagi kelembaban dan lain sebagainya, dia menggunakan basis Internet of Things. Nah, Internet of Things ini dia pakai dengan menggunakan sensor-sensor tertentu gitu ya. Lalu Kang Sandi, kalau smart farming yang Kang Sandi bangun itu seperti apa sih? Kang Sandi memang belum menggunakan sensor. Pertama itu kita sedang penjajakan dengan Korea Selatan, ini kabar baru teman-teman semua, alhamdulillah ini pertemuan ke-6, saya rasa besok dan hari Senin kita juga akan komunikasi lagi pitching dengan Korea Selatan, di mana kita akan kerjasama terakhir dari Sintah Korea, kita perusahaan pembuatan greenhouse, kita akan bangun smart farming di sana, basis sama big data dan sensor-sensor yang kita pengendalian 1 hektar cukup 2 orang. Nah, lalu yang kedua, Pak Sandi, saya rasa teman-teman izin share sedikit. Saat ini memang menggunakan kerjasama dengan pihak kedua, gitu ya, terkait dengan basis big data atau artificial intelligence atau apapun itu yang memang kita mengcapture kegiatan-kegiatan yang kita lakukan, teman-teman. Ini adalah salah satu contohnya. Kelihatan ya, sebagai Brina ya.
Iya, kelihatan, Kang. Kelihatan,
Baik,
Kang.
jadi dengan
Lanjut,
dashboard ini, saat ini ketika saya ingin melihat kebun, ini tidak perlu saya datang ke sana. Jadi saya cukup melihat dashboard ini akan ketahuan dan akan mengcapture setiap harinya itu kegiatannya seperti apa. Tentu dibantu oleh orang yang saya tunjuk di lapangan untuk mengisi setiap hari, mengupdate setiap hari, memfotokan setiap hari, hingga kita ketahuan, oh ada insiden, ini akar gada, bagaimana pengendaliannya, oh ini ada insiden kekeringan, terjadi kekeringan, bagaimana pengendalian dan lain sebagainya. Lalu selain dari itu teman-teman semua, ini dari sisi detail komoditas yang kita produksi dimasukkan dalam jenis apa saja. Perkiraan potensi panen kita juga sudah ketahuan. Ini kerjasama dengan Telkom Indonesia ya. Nah lalu dari sisi mitra, ini teman-teman bisa lihat gitu ya, terutama yang lahan saya budidayakan. Ini kita profiling dari sisi lahan itu juga kita sudah ketahui. Nah ini lahan pertama kita juga luasan lahan, jenis tanah, kemiringan lahan, curah hujan, pH, tekstur, tutupan vegetasi, ketinggian, dan lain sebagainya. Nah ini teman-teman tentu tadi kalau Mbak Gebrina bicara masalah, satu lagi ini komoditas nih, cabai merah keriting, mulai dari pratanam hingga tanam itu kita tercatat betul. Setiap tanggalnya dari mulai tanggal 10, 11, 12 ngapain aja, 13, 14, 15, lalu juga ditanam dari mulai berapa tuh? 4, tanggal 5, tanggal 6, ini kita catatan-catatan ini semua karyawan berapa, aplikasi yang digunakan apa aja, kebutuhannya apa saja, dan lain sebagainya. Gitu ya. Nah ini yang tentu ketika bicara Mbak Gebrina, bagaimana manfaat ke depannya Kang Sandi terkait dengan era seperti itu. Tentu akan sangat mengefisiensikan. Akan sangat menyederhanakan apa yang memang menjadi kesulitan-kesulitan bagi para petani. Yang tentu sekali lagi, hal-hal tersebut tidak bisa dikerjakan oleh, mohon maaf, kolonial, Mbak Gebrina. Tapi ini bisa dikerjakan oleh kalian-kalian yang saat ini muda. Kalian yang saat ini punya pikiran visioner, tomat ini ya sudah, kita cangkul, kita tanam, selesai. Tapi kalau bicara milenial tadi itu basisnya sensor, artificial intelligence, big data, internet of things, lalu apalagi dan sebagainya. Nah, saya justru menyambut positif. Nothing that impossible. Tidak ada yang tidak mungkin. Teman-teman semua mampu. Teman-teman semua bisa, teman-teman semua insya Allah didukung, gitu ya, percaya. Nah, bagi Brina, kalau misalnya Kang boleh nggak nanti diterapkan di saya dengan senang hati, silahkan. Mau berapa? Gitu ya, bagi Brina. Thank you, bagi Brina. Makasih banyak.
Oke, Kang
Iya,
Sandi.
thank you, Kang. Udah sharing ya, Kang. Makasih,
Sangat
Kang.
inspiratif sekali. Ini saya baru tahu kalau ada Agri-Partner itu semacam toolbox gitu ya. Wah, sangat bagus sekali ini. Semuanya well plan gitu ya.
Ya.
Kang Sandi, ini
Sukses
terima
terus ya,
kasih.
Kang, Smart Agriculture-nya.
Teman-teman semua, terima kasih banyak.
Baik, Kang Sandi. Jadi 3 session kita sudah bersama-sama ya. Selama 3 pekan nggak kerasa meskipun Kang Sandi berada di tengah-tengah perjalanan dinas.
Baik, betul.
Masih menyempatkan diri. Mudah-mudahan program ini Mas Sandi bisa memberikan inspirasi kepada mahasiswa. Dan
Amin.
kita berdoa dan berharap semoga semua mahasiswa ke depannya menjadi orang yang sukses.
Amin.
Jadi terima kasih sekali lagi kami sampaikan ke Mas Sandi atas nama semua panitia dan Fakultas Pertanian Universitas Brawijaya, kita mengucapkan terima kasih. Insya Allah kita ketemu lagi di kesempatan lain. Ya. Selamat bertugas Kang Sandi.
Baik. Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, saudara-saudara sekalian, jadi demikian tadi sesi kedua dengan Kang Sandi karena memang beliau sangat padat jadwalnya, tapi yang beliau sampaikan harapannya bisa memberikan inspirasi kepada kita semua. Saya jujur saja baru tahu bahwa ada tadi itu ya semacam monitor bagaimana memanage sistem pertanian. Saya kira ini menarik untuk diteliti dan sangat inovatif. Baik, tidak terasa ya 3 kali kita sudah bertemu di dalam International Guest Lecture 3-in-1 program dari Laboratorium Komunikasi dan Penyuluhan Agribisnis ya Fakultas Pertanian Universitas Brawijaya. Atas nama semua panitia, kami mengucapkan terima kasih atas partisipasi dari saudara-saudara semuanya, dari semua mahasiswa S1, ya, S2, S3, kemudian juga dosen-dosen di jurusan sosial ekonomi, serta dosen di Fakultas Pertanian, dan yang tidak kalah pentingnya dari alumni. Ya, ini sebagai sebuah keluarga besar, sivitas akademik, kita kedepannya diharapkan bisa lebih berkolaborasi lagi. Ya. Jadi terima kasih atas kebersamaan Anda selama 3 sesi pertemuan ini. Mudah-mudahan apa yang sudah kita pelajari, apa yang sudah kita dengarkan dari para expertise, scientist, praktisi, ya, bisa menjadikan hal-hal yang baru untuk kita jadikan maaf ada gangguan. Oke. Hal-hal yang baru untuk memperbaiki masa depan kita semua. Saya kira sampai di sini kita akhiri majelis yang sangat bagus ini ya, majelis ilmu. Mudah-mudahan bermanfaat untuk kita semua. Selamat sore. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, Pak.
Oke, terima kasih semuanya. Jangan lupa mengisi presensi ya, absen. Jangan lupa.
Siap, Pak.
Oke.
Izin ya, Pak, izin live ya, Pak. Soalnya udah mau ada kelas.
Kita juga live semuanya. Terima kasih semuanya. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih kembali, Pak. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.